So, after years and years of speaking about it, I've finally done it and I've launched a podcast where I'll be talking to interesting guests about an array of different topics from investing to stocks, including Tesla and Palantir, and any other engaging topics that may come up. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to our first guest, Pejjy. You may already know him from his YouTube channel or his X account where he goes by the username of Curious Pejjy and he focuses primarily on Tesla. I really enjoyed this conversation and I hope you do too. We spoke about lots of different things, from how he shifted his investing strategy from dividend investing now to being pretty much all in on one stock. We spoke about his conviction in Tesla, what he sees as the most important and most interesting things coming up for Tesla in the future, and much, much more. Really, really hope you enjoy this. Let's get into it. We've started. Hello,
Yes, we
Pejjy.
did. Yeah.
Thank
Haley.
you for joining me on my first episode on this podcast. I've just noticed your board behind you. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah. Hey, Haley. Yeah.
I love it. Look at that. Look at
Cool.
that.
Yeah, no.
It's
Welcome,
it's
welcome to these like interviews and podcasts and stuff. It's actually a pretty it's a big space on YouTube when it comes to investing in
mhm,
podcasts, especially when it's around Tesla. So
yeah.
it's a lot of fun too. So yeah, thank you for being I'm honored to be the first on your channel. So
I'm honored to
let's
have
go.
you. And it's nice to finally connect with you because we're both
Yeah.
obviously in a similar space on social media and on YouTube. Obviously, both big on Tesla, but
Yep.
maybe you're even more all in on Tesla than potentially I am. But we'll come back to that. We'll come
Yeah.
back to that in a bit. So the first place I want to start, because I've been noticing this in the last, I want to say, couple of days, couple of weeks, is
Here we go.
you've managed to have some conversation with the man himself, Mr. Elon Musk, over on X. I've seen that he's interacted with you a little bit, and I've
Ah,
even seen that his
yeah.
mum has actually reposted. So what's going on there? Tell me about that. I bet when that notification went off, you were quite happy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I mean, this isn't the first time he interacted with my stuff. I mean, the first time he interacted with one of my things that I posted on X is showing how other EV makers or car companies are losing
Hmm.
money on EVs and how Tesla isn't. And then he comments, "That's interesting." And that was the first time he commented. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe it's a fluke. He won't do it again. And then
And he
he
did.
did, and then he did it again, and then he did it again a few days ago as well when I posted the they lied. It was
Hmm.
like they lied about whether it's
Yeah.
rumors. I call Reuters rumors now, but yeah, when they said that they're getting rid of their next gen vehicle, they lied, and
Yeah.
Elon is leaving Tesla, they lied. He commented on that as well, and then recently just with um the US BYD China thing that I just mentioned, he commented on that as well. No, it's interesting. It's interesting, and uh, well, obviously, when his comment, when I see his notification saying that, oh, Elon Musk commented on your post, I'm just like, oh, great, here we go. My phone's gonna blow up now.
It's pretty cool though. I would almost have the fear like, oh God, what's he said? What's he said? Because he's not a man that will hold back, is he? If
Unfiltered.
he wants to, yeah, if you're incorrect about something, he'll tell you you're incorrect, which I respect. But
Yes,
that's
yes.
super cool. And you know what? If this keeps happening, you might even be in his inner X circle, which would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I think the reason why he's interacting a lot on my posts is because I am, putting, I am writing what's actually, like, it is what it is
Hmm.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think he's just commenting on it, agreeing on it, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's
Yeah. I've
cool,
I've
but
noticed
yeah,
I've noticed that recently, actually, he's been a lot more. He's posted a lot more on X about Tesla than he has for a while. It seems to be ramping up a little bit, which,
yeah,
whatever the reason is, I appreciate it. I like these little nuggets of potential info that then everyone gets excited about. I think as investors, we need that, especially when, like you just said, there's so much mass media lies about this company, like no other company. So it's
you know,
crazy.
and what's and what's really interesting about this is that he's been really involved or
Hmm.
tweeting a lot about or posting a lot about Tesla recently, like 3 months ago. I don't know what changed, but
No, I was wondering.
something has definitely changed within. Elon, or maybe because he's no longer too involved with X because he has a whole system going on there as
Hmm.
well. He can now focus on Tesla, or maybe it's because they had an internal talk saying that because he started being more vocal and started to be more involved with Tesla after shareholders brought up about his compensation package and about the voting
Yes.
power of
Yeah.
25%. That's when things start to get more, he got more involved and,
Hmm.
talking more about Tesla and stuff like that. Now, it could be a combination of so many things. It could have been because full self-driving has now all of a sudden has jumped so high. Now he can finally talk about things, and he was holding back on that as well.
True. True. True.
But I think the bulk of it has to do with the compensation package and the voting power of 25%. I think they had an
Yeah.
internal talk, and of course, he pretty much got guaranteed of it somehow. I don't want to make assumptions or anything, but for someone to come out and pretty much talk about or comment on people's post on X about Tesla, which he hasn't done
Hmm.
in a very long time, shows that he's more motivated than ever to do something.
Yeah, I
So
think you're right there, timeline wise. Actually, let's quickly talk about what's going on in June. What this revote situation. How are you feeling about that? Do you have like, are you worried? Are you anxious? Are you quite chilled about it? What, because a lot of people have a lot of differing opinions when it comes to the outcome. For example, I've seen everything from even if it goes against him, he'll be there, he'll stay, it's his company, or to the flip side where it's if this goes badly, he will walk.
yeah,
The two extremes, and I've seen everything in the middle. Where do you
yeah,
sit? Do you
scenarios.
have concerns? What's going on in your
Um,
mind about this?
well, when this first came, upon, I'm just like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's gonna get
Mhm.
passed and all that kind of stuff. Um, but but then when I start to see like the biggest retail shareholder, I think his name
Yeah.
is Keegan or something like that, which owns like
Mhm.
27 million shares.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, and he's voting against it. I'm just like, but why are you voting? But it doesn't make any sense. This was already a pre-deal that a corrupt judge said no because someone owned like
Like,
nine
he's
shares
done
or
what he
something.
needed to do to get it. That's what blows my mind. Like, no one
It's
else would not get paid for the work that they've done. I don't That's what I mean. Like, opinions aside, right? If you have different opinions about Tesla or Elon, put that aside because it's not even about that right now. It's a matter of decency, in my opinion,
yeah, it's
right?
ridiculous. And the fact people are saying he doesn't deserve it. Like, what do you mean he doesn't deserve it?
He's
He
done
already
what he needed to
10x'd your
do.
money. Yeah.
I
He
know,
already
I know.
10x'd. So, um, if I have a fear, the only fear that I have is, well, if I put myself in Elon's shoes and it's okay, I worked, a deal was a deal, and now
Yeah.
shareholders have a chance to ratify my compensation package again, and it somehow gets declined. Well, then I'm gonna be like, I mean, what is this? Why I would feel backstabbed,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I would understand who's against me. Because this is
Mhm.
not regular shareholder who's doing it. The bulk of the shareholders are not
Yeah.
voting no for this. I mean, it's on X. It's very vocal and loud
Mhm.
that he deserves it. He must get it. And I think it's going to get passed. I think it is. But if it doesn't, there's more fun and uncertainty for this dog. Elon leaving Tesla is just it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make for him to get up and just, all right, guys, because of this,
Bye.
I'm leaving. I know I don't
Yeah.
think he's gonna do that. I think the more important part that Elon is looking for is his 25% voting power, and there's a lot of mix up between the actual shares that he owns and the
Yeah.
voting power in the company. A lot of people are thinking that, okay, if he gets if this gets approved, I think it's going to get approved. He's going to have 20% of Tesla. That means only 5%. But even if it doesn't get approved, he's asking for voting power, not asking
Mhm.
for compensation, which is
Yeah.
two different things.
And
And I
that's what
think
he
as
cares
long
about.
yeah, and I think as long as he gets this 25%, um, then I think we should be okay. I think he's not gonna leave. And then if this gets declined, well then, which somehow if it gets declined, I'm pretty sure the reinstating of Delaware to Texas is not gonna
Mhm.
get declined. I don't think that's gonna get
I
declined.
don't think so either on that one,
Yeah.
no.
Once that goes there, there's going to be a new compensation package.
Mhm.
And I think it'll include the old one if that gets declined, with the addition of 25% voting power based on if he takes a company to, let's say, 2, 3 trillion, whatever the
Yeah.
number is going to be. And I think that's how it's going to be. And the fear out there is just it's just ridiculous. It's crazy. But I guess this is where opportunities show themselves, right? But
Yeah,
I
that's
just
true. I
yeah.
think the only concern, yeah, as they would do with Tesla, the only concern that I have is, like you said, with the voting situation and the question of he's made it very clear outside of this situation, just in interviews in general, that he has the worry that the development of AI, right? He's very concerned about that. So the question to me then is, okay, well, if he feels backstabbed, using the words that you used there,
Hmm.
is there potential in the future that he'll think, hang on a minute, maybe this isn't what I want to develop going forward at Tesla. Maybe I'll look elsewhere because Elon's a man with many companies. He's not
Yeah.
just he's not just got Tesla. But I'm with you. I think it will be okay. Short term could be interesting, but we've seen that many times with Tesla, short term
Yeah.
for sure. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm glad there's a voice in the community, yourself, that being that isn't
Oh,
so
thanks.
panicked.
Thanks. Yeah, you just gotta stay calm and just look at a reality and going like, okay, um, just who who is voting for these shareholders? Who
Mhm.
voted no? First of all,
Yeah.
but I don't. Again, it's just the chance of this being declined. It's just very. I would say first I thought it was gonna be less than 10 or less than 1%, but I think it's less than 10% that it's
Mhm.
gonna be voted no. It just doesn't make sense for people to vote no after more than 10xing their money. Um,
Yeah.
so
Did you see the post going around on X about the institutions, how they voted last time? I think Vanguard
yeah,
being the institution that said one of the
yeah,
biggest that said no, BlackRock said yes. Can't remember the others, but
yeah,
that's interesting. I don't really know what to say about it
yeah,
really, apart from what
yeah.
like why?
I have no idea. No
It's
idea why
weird.
Vanguard voted no. I mean, maybe they wanted to buy more on the cheap before it go. I don't know.
Yeah, there's
I don't know.
something going on.
It just doesn't make any sense to me that why would some of these institutions vote no when literally it's the, like people were analysts were calling this and everybody was talking about on the media that this compensation package no other CEO would accept it. It's an impossible task.
Yeah.
So like
What's
where's the
happened?
common sense? I don't understand it.
I
Like
know.
it's ridiculous. While you have Lucid who's like, destroying the company and
Yeah.
taking $500 million in compensation.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
And there's
Um
not, like you said earlier as well, like Tesla is one of very, very, very limited number of companies who are actually making money on their electric vehicles. I
mm,
don't know about you. We'll talk about what goes on over where you live in terms of Tesla in just a bit.
yeah.
But when I speak to people in my daily life, quite a lot of people mention electric vehicles, but they'll then say, "Oh, I've seen this one by this manufacturer, this one by this company." As if Tesla has so much competition. But
Mm,
then I think, fair enough, they don't study this company, they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But it always then I think, hang on a second, but who's making money from the investor point of view? Okay, you see this nice new car, might be nice for a consumer, but from an investor point of view, which companies are actually making money?
exactly.
Not many.
And that's not many. And it's
No.
it's very mind-boggling that the fact that Tesla has brought down their prices about 50%
Hmm.
and they're still making industry-leading margins.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy
that's
to me.
the margins are so interesting to me right now because I just don't see a world where we don't quickly shift away from the margins that we're seeing right now to very, very, very large margins, software as a service level
Oh yeah.
margins
Yeah.
in the near distant future. Like I
Yeah.
don't see that not happening. And I think it's not going to happen overnight, but I think it will happen quick enough for people to say, "Oh, wish I invested.
Yeah.
Why
Well, I
didn't I
mean,
listen?"
I mean, your ex prime minister just recently
Yes,
just sat in
Boris.
a Tesla, and it was like, "This is the future, man."
Mhm. Yeah, that made me laugh seeing that go around on social media. Oh, but at least he's enjoying it, I suppose. Anyway, right, what I want to ask you now, because we're very clearly both very convicted into this company. We do a lot of research into the company. We obviously purchased in the stock. Now, am I right in saying that you are all in 100% of your investment portfolio Tesla? Is that correct?
Okay, investment portfolio. I am 99% right now. I
99.
do
Okay.
I do own Amazon stock that I'm planning to sell.
Hmm.
Whether it's this week or next week, and then that's going to go right
Oh,
into
soon.
Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah, soon, because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, even I mean, for Amazon to double, it's
Mhm.
unlikely.
Mhm.
Maybe it'll
Big,
go
big
up 10,
company. Yeah.
15%. I don't think it's unless there's a big breakthrough. I don't think it's gonna double. But Tesla, can it double really quick, really fast?
And
We
also,
know how Tesla moves.
yeah,
What's
really
that?
quick, really fast. And I was gonna
Yeah.
say also, you've got to weigh up, like, how much how much money have you actually got allocated to Amazon? Is it enough that if it doubles, it would be more life-changing than if you put that money into Tesla with all your other shares and that doubles?
Yeah,
Like
no, no, not like that. No, I
yeah.
think I only got like 40 shares of Amazon that I
Mhm.
bought like 5 years ago, which I'm
Oh,
up
you
pretty,
must be doing well on it
I'm
then,
up
yeah.
really well. Yeah, I'm up
Yeah.
really well. I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I am timing the market here with this. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm like,
You
okay,
can't
because
say that on YouTube.
I usually dollar cost average, and every day or
Mhm.
so I buy like 2 shares, 3 shares, 2 shares here and there. But Amazon is one that I'm trying to get as much money from it, and
Yeah.
waiting for Tesla to go as low as possible so I can get more bang for my buck that way. It's very stressful. I don't recommend it, but
No, but you have
that's what
made
I'm
a
trying
good
to do.
point. Yeah, yeah. No, you've made a good point there in terms of like, even if you're a long term investor, at some point you have to have an exit strategy. You have to have a plan with a position to actually sell some or all of it, because otherwise, until that point comes, you've not actually got the money, if that makes sense. You've not actually made the money on it. So what you're doing with Amazon there makes complete sense. You know, sell it at a good price when you've got as much profit as you can get from it, roll it back into Tesla, build that position even more. But
Yeah.
anyway, have you always been pretty much all in on Tesla, or has
No.
your portfolio shifted? Tell us about that.
No. So I started investing in the stock market when I was legally allowed to, which was the age of 18 in Canada. Uh,
Amazing, amazing.
yeah, as soon as
That's
I turned
cool.
18 on my birthday, I ran to the bank and I'm like, open me a TFSA account, which is a tax-free,
Hmm.
tax-free investing account. And that's when I first started investing, not in Tesla, but as in general. And from 18 years old to I think it was 23, 24 years old, I was pretty diverse in a lot
Hmm.
of not index, but a lot of separate companies. I was making around like $1,000 to $1,500 a month just on dividends alone. I was
That's
okay,
cool. Yeah, that's
cool,
pretty
but my
substantial.
principal, yeah, that it was good, but my principal wasn't really going high. And obviously, I had some risky stocks here and there. I did invest in. Do you know the company Tweed? It's a
How
marijuana company in
oh,
Canada
okay. Mhm,
where it was Justin Trudeau's election, and if he became elected, he would legalize it. And I'm like, oh, here's an opportunity. So I put some money
okay.
in Tweed, and the thing 20x. So I made a pretty
Nice.
decent amount of money there. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, nice. But that this went straight into my like dividend,
Mhm,
diversity allocation investments. And then I did this again with Nikola, with VTIQ before it turned to Nikola, and that 10x as well. I'm like, awesome. Took that money,
yeah.
and then I mean, I started to realize Tesla in 2015 when my friend rolled up in a Model S. Well, it was
Mhm.
his dad's, but then he rolled up, and I'm like, "Is that a Tesla?" He's like, "Yeah." So I sat in it, and I'm like, "This is like 20
This is
years ahead,
cool.
man. This
Yeah.
is something different." He's like, "Yeah, we don't go for gas stations anymore. We save like $300 a month off that."
Mhm,
I'm like, well, isn't electricity expensive? It's like, no, it's cheap. I mean, at home we don't do anything. I mean, at home it's like 2 cents per kilowatt or something. I'm like,
mhm.
that's cheap. That's free practically. So I started to look into Tesla in it. I started to look into the investment of that then, and at that time I've never invested in any U.S. companies. It was all Canadian companies,
Okay.
and which is quite funny now because right now it's all American companies, no longer Canadian companies, which is quite funny. But when I was looking to Tesla stock, I was looking at, oh man, this thing's too risky, man. How could this company survive when you got the oil giants and all these automakers? They're
Mhm.
obviously gonna beat them first. That was my mentality. And then 2018, 2019, the thing went like to all time low, and I'm like, maybe I should start a position here. I didn't, but I'm like, okay, this seems too risky for me. And then it wasn't until um, we had that big rally in 2019
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
beginning of 2020, and then it crashed down because of COVID, and that's where I started to buy. I'm like, okay,
Okay, that's a nice
now
time.
now they're profiting off EVs.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever. This is like when I invested in Tweed back in like 2014. this thing's gonna grow up. So whatever I had, well, not whatever, all I had, like half of what I had in my Canadian investments, I shifted to US dollar and I bought Tesla. And that thing went up, and I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, all right, cool. And that's when that's when I got more deeper into Tesla, learning what it is. And I started to buy more stock when I realized that, wait a minute, the future of this company is not with EVs,
Yeah.
it's with autonomy. And I'm just like, if you run the numbers, if you have this many vehicles on the road, and if they charge a subscription of this much, and software is usually over 50% margins,
Yep.
I'm like,
It
holy
gets
crap,
crazy quickly.
that is a lot of money.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, this is a no brainer. And I started dollar cost averaging in, dollar cost averaging up actually when the stock
Yep.
went below 300, and I just kept buying since then. And and then slowly and so forth. And thank God I sold most of my Canadian stocks, because all of them are down 50%. Like I sold them at a good price to buy
Yeah.
Tesla, and they all are down like 50%, which I'm just
That's
like,
pretty good timing, I must say. Do you so would it be fair to say that you shifted from being more of a dividend investor
yeah,
to
yeah.
that's interesting. I had a similar journey. I had a similar journey. And what do you with everything that you've learned now, what do you think about like the general principle of diversification?
Well, diversify. When I look at my investments of what I have um, earned within my diversify, but again, they were all heavily dividends. They weren't like any growth stocks or anything.
Yeah.
I realized that my principal and capital didn't really grow as much, but I got a lot of cash flow coming in, and I used that to buy either it was a drip or I bought other stocks. At the end of the day, did it grow my money? Principal, not so much. In terms of cash flow, yes. I think I made more money owning Tesla, just one stock,
Yeah.
for 1 or 2 years compared to all those that I owned for 5, 6 years. I think that is a valid, I think that's true. So, um, what I learned is, if you want to grow your money, invest in, I know this may trigger some people, but invest in non dividend stocks.
Yeah. I
Like
think it's the
S&P
risk
500.
versus reward, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Like for
And it's
example,
not for everyone. But
yeah, if you invest in the S&P 500 and there's index fund, and then you invest in the S&P 500 dividend fund, you would earn more over time with the S&P 500 that doesn't pay you a dividend over
mhm.
time. I think it would make sense to shift to a dividend stock after you've grown a whole bunch of money, so you just make that cash flow monthly so you can live off of it. Whether
Yeah.
how big that investment is that can generate you like 5 figures a month and you're not doing anything. I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. For me, I think about risk versus reward, what motivates someone, whether you're in the wealth generation versus wealth preservation area of life, which is what you've just described there. And then I think the fourth thing would be, do you actually care to research for hours upon hours into a select number of companies? Because if you don't, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I don't
Yeah.
think you then start selecting stocks based on what you hear other people say. Because I think at
Yeah.
that point it becomes gambling. But I
Yeah.
think we've
But
kind of come to the same conclusion with our own journey. We've both shifted, you more so than me. I've still got other stocks and I've got quite a lot of Palantir as well as Tesla. But even so, my portfolio right now is way less diversified than it ever has been. And I'm not
yeah,
planning to change that.
and you're making more money.
Yeah, yeah. When you look at it like that, what, yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
you've also got to be able to stomach it when it falls.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And what you just described is what Warren Buffett would say, is that, look, you don't need to have 150 different,
Yeah.
stocks in your portfolio to get you rich. You just need 4 or 5 to get wealthy, and that's it. And you got to be able to stomach the bad times when it goes down like 50, 60, 70, 80%. So,
Yeah, and I think
um,
everyone looks at what Warren Buffett and other people are doing now, but they forget to see actually they were way less diversified when they were growing. They're in a unique position now where they're managing a lot of money, and therefore
yeah.
diversification makes more sense. And the
Oh yeah.
dividends that he gets is crazy. But
Yeah.
actually, it hasn't always been like that for
No,
him, nor
it
many
has not.
investors, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
So you got into Tesla because of the EVs, because you literally saw one in real life and you thought this is really really cool. And then
Yeah.
over time you've now shifted and you're thinking actually Tesla isn't an EV company really, as you're
Yeah, that's
seeing
the
them
reason.
change.
Yeah.
So what you don't have to just pinpoint one thing if this is too difficult for you to answer, but if you had to say right now what you are most excited about from an investment point of view, which one thing that Tesla's working on or could potentially be working on in the future, which one thing excites you the most?
Robotaxi, hands down.
Oh, that was easy. Okay. Do you
Yeah,
want to
hands
tell
down.
me why that over Optimus or energy or anything else?
Well, my main thesis when I got into Tesla was because of the self-driving cars. I mean, here's the thing with self-driving cars, once they figure out there's three pillars. The one pillar is all Teslas around the world, at least in
Mhm.
developed countries. Once they see the data that this thing is like 20, 30 times better and safer than human driving, it's just stupid for them not to approve it. And obviously, once they approve it, Tesla can charge them a monthly subscription
Yeah.
software, which I think that's going to be the case. I think Tesla's going to remove the one-time fee, and it makes sense for them to do that.
Mhm.
Um, so now you have a reoccurring revenue coming in every month, and now you have all of a sudden tens of millions of vehicles on the road that you can enable with a snap of a finger.
Ready
So
to go. Yeah.
it's an overnight thing. It's an overnight thing. So that's one pillar. The second pillar is the licensing.
Okay.
Once
Yeah.
this, if other automakers, I think the first automaker that's going to be licensing out Tesla's FSD, it has to be BYD. I mean,
Okay.
people are saying it's Ford, but how
Uh-huh.
could it be Ford when they're scaling back on EVs?
That's
I,
an
I just don't,
interesting take, actually. Yeah, I
you
like
know?
that. I've not, to be honest with you, I haven't really thought about it like that, but that
Yeah.
makes complete sense. Okay. Yeah.
This part I didn't understand. I don't think it's Ford. Maybe later on it could be, but I think the first
Mhm.
one will be BYD, that can license it, and then Tesla can, I guess, help them manufacture it with the cameras and stuff because you have to have select software for that
Yeah.
and the specific cameras to do that. And the third pillar is the robotaxis. So you get this triple whammy once full self driving is completely solved or completed, and and it's high margin. So robotaxi. Why am I so excited on this? Is because first of all, it's going to bring down transportation. Like if you're in Uber, it's going to be like 5 to 6, up to 10 times cheaper
Yeah.
than a than a normal Uber. So the fact that you could get into a car, you don't have to drive, and there's nobody in there, and you're paying so much less to get from point A to point B. Well, first of all, you don't need a car. That's more money in your pocket. You get your time back, and you don't have to, you don't have to spend so much money in dealing with getting a car insurance and all these other things. So, and the robo taxi, I'm not too sure how Tesla's really going to do it. We'll find out on August 8th how they're going
Hopefully.
to do it. Yeah. But Elon did mention in Q1 that there's going to be two different versions. There's going to be the Tesla fleet, which Tesla does it all by themselves. And I think after doing calculations and doing the cost and depreciation, they could be profiting around 30% as gross profit
Okay.
from it. But they can scale. Like they can,
Yeah.
like, and once they can scale, they can scale.
And Tesla scale well.
Here's the thing with Tesla, they know how to scale.
Yeah. Like no one
That's
else.
just them. Yeah, they just know how to do it better than anyone else. Um, and the second part he said was like, already customers who has Teslas, they can add it to the fleet and they can earn some money from it.
And
I don't
that's
know how
really cool. That's a cool business
that's
model.
cool, but how is that going? I don't
Might
know
not
how.
be immediate. Yeah.
Yeah, immediate. I think it's gonna be a slow gradual. There's gonna be some beta on it. Just like how
Yeah.
FSD beta was. They're gonna do a beta on it, and then they say, okay, we're very confident with our software, and if you're happy to put your car on the line,
Hmm.
you know, and you do the insurance and everything is on you, we'll give you a cut of like 50% or something, or 70%, and we'll see how this goes, and we'll evaluate and we'll see how we can scale this part of the business. But if if that's doable and realistic, well then all of a sudden you already have tens of million vehicles all around the world that people can just add it to the fleet, and they make
And I
money
think
and Tesla
people
makes
would.
money. Yeah, and now the question becomes at that time is not how many vehicles Tesla sells, is how many software, how much is the conversion rate to the FSD, how much is the robotaxi uptake, and then the licensing will come
Mhm.
after that. So That is the only that is my only thesis of me investing into Tesla. The bots, I don't really care. Quite honestly, I don't care about the bot. I
Okay.
don't. I don't understand it. Um, is it being leased for 10,000 for each manufacturer? Then it gets so complicated. I tried doing the modeling. I just don't get it. And I've
Mhm.
watched other YouTubers like I think Herbert he brought on CERN showing how
Yeah,
the
he's
Tesla
very
bot
intelligent
works,
with
and
this stuff. Yeah.
I'm just like I don't know. I just don't know. I can't process this.
Hmm.
Nor was it because of the energy. I didn't even get into Tesla because of energy. I didn't even know Tesla even had energy.
Existed. No, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, energy. Okay, now energy is kind of saving Tesla. If you look at the Q1
Yeah,
earnings, it's kind of
yeah,
saving
true.
it, which is really good. But my only focus was the full self driving, and I'm just like, you know, in 5-10 years time, are we going to be having cars that drive themselves? Yes, I think we are.
I think it's the logical next step in society. I don't see a and there's a lot of pushback, and I hear a lot of people say it's too dangerous, which obviously the whole point of it is to increase safety, so that's kind of doesn't make sense. And Elon and Tesla have such a name for themselves that they would never even if it was legal to, they would never allow themselves to put this stuff on the road that isn't safe and hasn't got
Yeah.
so much data to back it up. So there's
Oh
that
yeah.
argument. There's the argument that another company will get to it first, which again I think we both probably agree like who,
Who?
how, why, when, where. And then I also hear, and I'll throw this one back to you actually, because to be honest, I don't really have a solid answer for this. There's a lot of people that then say, okay, well, a lot of people really like driving, so they would not get on board with this. But I just think it's going to just shift
Mm,
and it's not going to happen like that.
well, ask them this. Okay, if you like driving so much, do you like driving to work every day?
Yeah.
Same route, same route, half asleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They say
Hmm.
that, but then when they realize that, oh God, I have to drive to another city, it's like 2 hours long, I have to stare at a tarmac. Ah,
Yeah.
I think the answer
Pros
will
and
be
cons.
different. So, yeah, I mean, the value here is that you're giving people back their time.
Time. And time is money.
Time
If
is
you
money.
can give someone back their time, they will pay for that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um,
Especially when it comes to commuting. Oh my God. Personally, for
yeah.
me, I don't. I like long drives, but
I
sometimes
hate
it's like,
driving. I hate it. I'm ready for a Robotaxi.
yeah. I mean, like for me, when I'm driving, I'm just like, man, I've already driven this route 10,000 times. I don't want to drive.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive. I want to like,
Boring.
edit my video, or I want to, go on X and post something, but I don't want to keep paying attention.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if I mean in 5 years time, or I don't know when this Robotaxi is going to happen, or this August 8th, we'll see the cyber cab. Apparently, it's not going to have anything. No drivers, no steering wheel, no pedals, nothing of that. If that's going to be something that you know is going to come to fruition, then it's just
Mhm.
game over. The stock. I mean, oh my God. It's
Yeah, and a
gonna
lot of
we're gonna look
people
back at today's thing and go like today's stock price and say, oh my God, I was not financial advice, but I'm just saying.
yeah, well, that's why we're both interested in this company and we put our own money in the company because we believe in what they're doing. Um,
Yeah.
but the same thing, I mean, I wasn't around when this happened, and nor were you, but when there was a shift from horses to cars, the same
Oh
thing would have been
yes,
happening, right? Same thing. It's too
exactly.
dangerous. It's not going to happen. It's too
Yes,
expensive. It's this, it's
right
that.
on.
The shift happened because it had to.
Yeah,
Civilization pushed towards that, and that's exactly what's going to happen again.
yeah. Imagine back in the 1990s or 1920s or whenever this you know,
Hmm.
cars came in, and imagine the fun around the
Yeah.
cars then. It's like, oh, you gotta put gas in this every like 200 miles or something. A horse only needs grass. I
Yeah.
think I think it go on for miles. I mean, you don't need a car. That's just ridiculous. But then, hey,
Look what
things
happened
change
since.
big time.
Yeah. What do you think will happen in terms of like where do you think the robo taxi will be launched first?
Mm. I think it'll be the same places as where Waymo is right now. The places that
Okay.
they are allowed
Select
to do it.
states within, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll start there. I think one is in Phoenix, one is in San Francisco. and some other cities as well are slowly allowing this. I think they will start there with a small fleet
Yep.
and check, see how it is, and then all Tesla needs to do. And I mean, the good thing about Tesla is that they're not going to be geofenced unlike the others. So I think Tesla can have a competitive advantage here by going to places that this thing can't go to.
Yeah.
So once that's successful, I think Tesla can easily scale that up and go like, okay,
Hmm.
that was not that bad. We can take it up a notch, take it up a notch, and then I'm debating either this happens first or China happens first.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
this because they just made a deal. I'm pretty sure you're aware as well
Yep.
that with Baidu they made it in China, and they're moving really fast with it. And but I think China already has a robotaxi thing going along already.
I
Baidu is
think
doing it
so.
already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the concept there is already happening.
Hmm.
I think at a much wider scale than the US. I'm not too sure. You guys can fact check me in the comments below, or Haley, if you know, you can fact check me on this as well. But if they're doing this already in China, I can see this starting in Tesla starting in China sooner than starting in the US. Now, will it be the existing vehicle that they have there, or will it be the next gen robotaxi that's coming out? That is the question.
Yeah.
So,
I'm kind of with you on that in terms of the select number of states that the infrastructure is already in place, because that is the easiest pathway. I think it will take a much longer amount of time to roll this out. For example, in
yeah.
Europe, in the UK, like
Oh
the
God.
regulatory pushback on that will be a lot bigger than it is in China or in select states in America.
Yeah, I'm
But
surprised to see that China got it first before Europe. I'm just like, that's not
yeah,
right.
yeah, we're quite, I feel like we're quite behind over here in terms of innovation at the moment. We're not really pushing innovation as much as we should. And it's a whole conversation on its own. But I still think it will happen. I just think it's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah, I mean, once the data comes in and shows that, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we should probably do it. Yeah,
Otherwise, what's going to happen? People are going to want it. People are going to want it.
yeah,
There's
people want
already
to.
been.
Yeah, and you know
Oh,
what's
sorry.
funny? I was talking to my niece the other day, and I'm like, because she's 13, I'm like, how do you feel in 5 years' time? All you got to do is press a button, and you get, a car comes to you, you know, and when this car comes to you, there's no drivers, there's
No.
no pedals, there's nobody in the car. You just get in the car, and then you go to your destination, and you can, just take a normal taxi or Uber, do whatever you want in the back, watch Netflix on the big screen or do whatever you want, and you would pay so much less about that. She's like, "Oh, that's cool. The fact that, well, the first thing she said is like, well, that'd be cool. I mean, a car's gonna come to me and there's gonna be no drivers. It's like, yeah, just gonna roll up to you and just get in and go. And it's like, well, that's really cool. I'm like, so you're not you wouldn't be afraid of it or scared of it or be concerned about it. He's like, no, I think that would be nice. I don't have to talk to anybody in the car.
Hmm.
I have a whole space to myself, and it'll just get to my destination, and I don't have to drive. I'm like, how do you know how driving feels like? He's like, I
Yeah.
see.
Wait
But she
until
was
you've
like,
got to drive.
yeah, and she's like, yeah, that she was totally cool with it. I'm like, okay, cool. So it looks like to me, it looks like the next generations that will experience this for the first time,
Hmm.
um, seem to be okay with it. Seem to be, um, down with it. So that was pretty interesting when I had this conversation with her. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it is often the younger generation that are more open-minded with change. So do you see a world in which Elon will bring anything from his other companies into the robotaxi fleet? So, for example, I'm thinking, could he bring the tunnels that he's doing at the Boring Company? Could he bring, um, I don't know, Grok even? Like, what is there scope
Mm,
there to move any of his other dealings into the robotaxi eventually? Not straight away, maybe.
that's an interesting question. Um, so first things first, everybody smash that like button and subscribe to Haley if you guys haven't already.
Legend.
She's doing a really good job on her first podcast. So that's, you know, smash
Thank
that
you.
like button.
Appreciate that.
And I definitely do see Grok coming to Tesla,
Mhm.
but I think this won't happen until Elon gets 25%.
You think he'll hold back until it makes
Yeah.
sense? Right,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Boring company. I think that's for everybody. Have making tunnels underground, but I don't know how that's scalable. Like, I have not been following Boring Company at all, but
No.
making tunnels everywhere and you know, putting on mass scale. I don't know how that's coming along or if that's even possible. I mean,
Yeah.
how are you going to do that in New York City? That's hard. That's tough.
But Elon does do the impossible,
He
so
does. It's
who
hard. I'm
knows?
not. Yeah, betting against him is not a good idea. But
There's obviously
um,
Starlink as well.
Starlink, I think it already is with the
Mhm.
vehicles. It already is
Yeah.
with the vehicles
Um,
with the internet and stuff.
yeah.
So
Do you think that I remember a while ago, I think I spoke about it in a video or I watched a video that spoke about this. I can't remember. That the idea that Tesla could charge companies to almost advertise within the robotaxi fleet. So for example, you're in the robotaxi fleet and you're asked, okay, there's a local restaurant nearby. Do you want me to take you to it? I
mhm.
don't. That's maybe a silly example, but do you see that happening? Like a world in which they are making money through that?
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
do.
So
Okay.
yeah. So when the robot taxi does become a thing, I
Yeah.
can easily see that, for example, restaurants going to Tesla and going like,
Hmm.
or Tesla will have a feature that, hey, if you want us to give you an upper level, just like how Google does with their ad search, hey, if you want an upper level, like an advertisement, you can pay this much for whatever the bid is, whatever, and people who get dropped off to your place will purposely drop you off right in front of the
Hmm.
hotel or the restaurant, or
Mm.
advertise it that, hey, if you're hungry you can go to this place and here's
I
the
can take
menus.
you en route. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have like you can check their website out with while driving there, so you can order. So once you get there, it's pre-ready, just pick it up and go. So you save more
Hmm.
time there. Definitely, I see that happening. And what I also see happening is how, how other apps are going to Apple and paying them to be on their
Yep.
Apple, uh, what's it called, Apple's App Store. I
Yeah.
see the same thing happening with Tesla with their Robotaxi entertainment system, whether it's
Hmm.
Spotify or all these other guys that's going to come, Amazon, whatever it is. I think that can also be a thing when in the future for Tesla. Other companies
Yeah.
paying their fleet that, hey, advertise me, you know.
That makes sense. And if it's going to be as big as we're thinking it will, in terms of the number of robo taxi vehicles, it, who
It blows your
wouldn't want?
mind. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
gets the number gets way too big. It's just ridiculous. You just don't know how to stop, or what do you do? Do you bring down the margins less, or no, or do you have to add another source of income to that because now they're doing all these advertisements? It just
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
know it's hard to
yeah,
comprehend.
it is, it
What,
is.
what do you reckon will happen with the likes of Uber and Lyft?
Oh, Lyft. I mean, Uber and Lyft, they have to. And once the robotaxi comes in, they have to do this. They either have to be a subsidies of Tesla
Hmm.
unofficially. So meaning that obviously Tesla's not going to buy out Uber. And I know on X I made a prediction that Tesla's going to buy out Uber. I don't think that's the case. I know that there's 150. Uber is worth 150 billion. I think once the robotaxi does become into effect, that market cap's going to go if Uber
Hmm.
doesn't want to do anything. Um, and recently, Uber came out. The CEO came out and said that, yeah, we have to work with Tesla.
Yes. Also, I think he's been selling. I could be wrong on this. Again, fact check me, people in the comments. I think the CEO has been selling a lot of shares of Uber
I think,
recently.
yeah, I think he sold about 30%, if I'm not mistaken, recently.
That's. I
But
think
here's the
that's.
thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, Uber could be in the picture if they integrate everything that Tesla has. So again, becoming a
Yeah.
subsidy, an unofficial subsidy. So okay, give me all the Tesla vehicles, or I'll buy a bunch of Tesla vehicles, and before you do your robotaxi thing, test it on mine. Let,
Hmm.
let let me do it first. I think this way, Uber or even Lyft could have a potential being in the market in the long term.
And they've got a name for themselves in this market as well. So
Yeah.
they could potentially, like you said, pair up with Tesla and use that to their advantage. It would be interesting though to see, does this
Well,
become a one company only market? or does this become actually there can be many players once the Robotaxi's launched?
Yeah, that's true. Looking at the data coming out in the US, at least in China, it's a little bit different, but in the US, um, I mean, who is second place?
Mm,
Like who? Like, is it? It can't be Waymo. It just
yeah.
can't be Waymo. It's just not scalable. People are saying Mobileye or something like that, but then
Okay.
where do you see the data? Where do you see their vehicle? Like, where do you see? Some are saying Nvidia, but how? They don't know.
Yeah.
They make the chip. They're not trying to solve it. So when you look at it, who can scale the most? Who has the vehicles to do it? And who can do it as soon as possible? It's Tesla.
Yeah. Who now has solved the compute power issue?
Exactly.
They're
Exactly.
just lining up everything that they need to just press the button
Yeah.
and go. It won't be
Yeah.
that simple, obviously, but it feels like that. You know, the more research you
Exactly.
do, the more you understand that what they've been working on for so long has led them now to a very, very special place that
Yep.
other companies just can't catch up with. They can't. They
Exactly.
just cannot
No.
happen.
No. And it's interesting that we talk about this because um, I think you also made a video about this that Tesla is transforming to
Mhm.
just a whole different company.
Yeah, completely,
Just
completely. The
complete
revenue
change.
from the EVs will just become it. When I say smaller and smaller, I'm not saying it will become, we'll go from earning $10 to 5. I just mean as a percentage of the total, it will become smaller and smaller and smaller and more insignificant as everything else grows. And
Exactly.
that's what I don't see that not happening.
I mean, it's already is happening. I think in
Exactly. Yeah.
Q1 earnings, non-automotive profits or gross earnings or gross
Hmm.
profits was a whopping 43%.
Hmm.
Non-automotive. And I'm sitting here, I'm just like, whoa, that's crazy. Even if they did have an addition 100,000 vehicles delivered, that would have been dropped down to 25%, 26%, which is just insane. It and I'm still seeing people on X or Shorts or Tesla Bears, and I know they've been attacking me because I've been antagonizing them. Um,
You're braver than I am. I just tend to leave people alone.
um, they keep talking about the auto margins, and they keep talking about, oh
Yeah,
look,
I hear that a
Tesla's
lot.
autos, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're looking at the wrong thing, my man. You're looking at the wrong thing. But hey, man,
Hmm.
they do them. They
Do
do them.
you? But yeah. Yeah, yeah. So what do you reckon? I think I'm going to know your answer to this, but maybe give me the most obvious answer, and then maybe give me a slightly different answer if it's too obvious. What do you think is the biggest misconception that you see about Tesla? I'm thinking that you see maybe in your personal life, but you also see, haters writing on your YouTube videos or on X or wherever.
Yeah, and I think you know exactly what I'm gonna say. It's the car company.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, apart from that, do you see anything else that you are a bit like, oh,
um,
come on, guys, like scratching your head?
well, the biggest one is obviously the car company one. The
Hmm.
second thing is the full self driving is it's um, wishful thinking. It's La La
Yeah,
Land. That's the one I
dangerous.
see as well. Very dangerous. My favorite one is that Tesla is the BlackBerry.
Tesla is the BlackBerry, as in the phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Right, who's Apple?
BYD, apparently BYD is the Apple or something like that. Or I don't,
Okay.
yeah, it's one of these other guys, and I'm just like, "W- how? And recently, someone was saying that no, Tesla is a Nokia. I'm
Okay.
just like, I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just have a good laugh. I just have a very good
I do
laugh,
as
and
well.
honestly, it tells me that most people or some of these guys they still don't understand the company.
Mhm.
And honestly, how does someone understand this company? I mean, how do you even value the company? And I think I made a post about this on X is that look, Tesla, you can't value it as purely as a car company because they are not. You can't value it purely as an energy company because they just simply aren't a
Yeah.
100% energy company. An AI company, well, how do you do that when you don't have official numbers yet?
And I think that's why the
And
analysts are struggling.
yeah, no, they are. They absolutely are struggling because I don't think Tesla has made them public. And if they did, it's part of the average selling price, I think.
Mhm.
But I don't know how they would. I don't know how they
Yeah, it's
add that
too
together. It's a
hard.
little weird. And it's not you can't value it as a robotics company, because how do you even value that, with the bots and stuff like that. So it's a company that a lot of people don't understand and can't put their finger on it even after 10 or 20x, which is absolutely
Yeah.
remarkable, because with any other company that we know now, which is Nvidia, Amazon, Microsoft, all these other big caps, everyone has their finger on it. They know how to value it because it's cash flowing nicely, it's profiting nicely. You can expect revenues. Um, I am concerned about Apple in the future because they are not innovating. They just wasted $10 billion on a thing called Titan for EVs, which just went down the toilet. So I don't know. I personally, I don't think in 10 years' time they're going to be even one of the top five, top 10,
That
most
would be a
valued
big
company in the world.
change. That would be a
Yeah,
massive change to what we're
because
seeing now.
yeah, like at least Amazon is doing really well with their AI. They're doing amazing
Yeah, I think
investments,
they'll
and
continue.
Nvidia is doing it great right
Yeah.
now. Microsoft is doing great. Google is doing great. All these other guys are doing good. I mean, Meta. I'm not too sure about Meta either, but
I
Apple for
don't
sure.
know. Meta's another one for me, like what you just said. I know how big of a company they are, and I know how well the stock's done, and I know how, like, all these numbers that they pump out. But then I come back to, do I want to invest? And it's
Yeah,
always no, not really. I see my
me
money
too.
better elsewhere. Yeah.
Me too. It's hard to predict the future of Meta when the guy keeps copying everything else. Like you're
Hmm.
not innovating. You're copying everybody else.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know what they've done recently that made me go like, okay, that's an innovation.
That's
Same thing with
interesting.
this.
Yeah.
Same thing with Apple. Like for Microsoft, at least they have OpenAI. For Google, I mean, they're an AI company themselves. For Amazon, I mean, my God, Amazon, it's just
Yeah.
something you cannot bet against that massive company. I think in the future, the world's most valued company is first going to be Tesla,
Hmm.
and then it's going to be Amazon, and then
Okay.
Nvidia.
Okay.
Amazon is just doing really, really good stuff. It's just hard to go against these guys. I think they make the most revenue out of
Mhm.
everyone, like more than half a trillion revenue a year. I think this year they're gonna do 600 billion, which is just
What are
madness.
you saying? Are you saying in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Those top three? What time? I'm
I
only
would say,
asking
and
you what timeline because I'm going to ask people in the comments to leave their predictions.
that's gonna be interesting. I'm thinking, end of the decade would make sense. I think by
Okay,
end of the
so
decade
end of
we can see.
decade, you're going Tesla largest, followed by Amazon, followed by Nvidia. Correct?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
those are pretty safe bets in my opinion.
Hmm. I think it makes sense. People, leave your comments below as to whether you agree or what you think first, second, and third largest companies will
Yeah,
be by the end of the decade. Be interesting to hear. Okay,
very interesting.
so you mentioned Canada earlier. Were
Mhm.
you born in Canada and then you've moved since, or?
So I am, um, I, um, I am Persian, but I was born
Mhm.
in Kuwait. Then I
Okay.
immigrated to Canada when I was like 4 years old. I went to elementary school there, high school there, college there, and and stayed there as well. Worked a bit as well. Then I came back to Kuwait because we do have a family business here in Kuwait.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, and I've been here since 2017, if I'm not mistaken. I've been here for a while, and I do go back and forth like
Yeah.
every 4, 5, 6 months at a time here and there, and yeah, that's what I'm doing in Kuwait. And I'll tell you something: the living, like there's no life here other than work, but it's very
Okay.
comfortable. Like it's very
Mhm.
comfortable. Like for
Yeah.
example, what I'm making right now here, if I would have made it in Canada, I would pay probably half of that in just taxes.
Wow. Okay.
I
So
pay
tax
nothing.
situation is good over there.
There's no tax. Like tax doesn't exist here. There's no VAT tax. There's no income
Wow.
tax.
Okay. I did not know that.
Nothing. Like even in the UAE,
Yeah.
they do have a VAT tax on each product that you buy.
Yeah.
Kuwait doesn't even have that. So
Interesting.
in terms of
Interesting.
financially and saving and trying to do investing and planning your life, it's honestly, you
That
know,
was gonna be a question. So I'll ask you this now actually because you've just
yeah,
kind of alluded to
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
What, like, I mean, take this question as you like, but my question is, what do you implement in your life or general rules that you live by, whatever, to be able to maximize the amount of money that you can invest? Because I'm assuming you want to be able to invest the most much money as you can so that you can reach financial freedom as quickly as you
Yeah.
can. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are
So
you doing to make sure that you can maximize that?
so here in Kuwait, there's no, and it's a very interesting country because I've been here for a long time and I've yet to make a friend here, which is
Oh, that's
I mean I
sad
it's no, but because
because
look,
you're just working and
yeah, because the population here, 70%, maybe even 80% of it is all foreigners. And all these
Mhm.
foreigners are here to make money, to send back money, to send money back to,
Right.
their families back in the Philippines or India or, wherever, you know, they're coming from, their own country. And usually they're here by themselves as well. So they're not here to have fun. They're here to make as much money
Yeah.
as possible to send it back. Then you got the locals. And the locals want to be with themselves. They
Right.
don't they don't like to interact outside of their own culture and stuff like that. I'm not a local, so I'm an expat. I'm known as a Canadian expat. So finding friends here has been very difficult compared to Dubai. When I went to Dubai for maybe a week, I found like 5, 6 friends there. It was
Yeah.
so easy to make friends there. But here, it's not the case. So knowing that, you don't go out for lunch or dinner or breakfast. You don't go out with friends. You don't spend money. It just gets
Hmm.
all saved. It just gets all saved, other than
Yeah.
the stuff that you gotta pay for, right? And that's it. You have a lot of savings, and people think um, I live you know luxuriously. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't live. I just work. I come home. I do these videos, and then that's it. And then summertime, I come to Canada, and have fun there. That's it. Um, but because I'm not doing all these um,
You're not spending
expensive
lots.
things, spending
Yeah.
things, I'm all saving it. And compared comparing Kuwait in terms of expenses to, let's say, the Western world now, which when I was in Canada last summer, things were expensive. I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah.
it was crazy. Here it's not that expensive. It's still very affordable. Like taking a taxi is only like $4.
Hmm.
Like it's
Yeah.
just so cheap. Buying things, going to the store, buying, I mean, they have gotten expensive for sure, but not as much, not as Western level expensive.
Yeah.
So because of all this, I was allowed to save a lot of money, and then with that saved money, goes right into investments, which is some properties that I own in Canada, and
Oh, cool.
for stocks,
I
and
didn't know
mostly
that.
Tesla. Yeah. So yeah, when I say all in, I just mean my stock portfolio. I'm all in
Yeah.
Tesla. In terms of my full assets, I do have properties here and there, which even in
Do you
properties in
recommend
Canada,
getting into property?
in the right places, yes. In Canada is the worst place.
Right. Okay.
Because things have gone very expensive in Canada, and getting a home has become impossible. But even people with the homes that they got, they think they made money, but they don't know that when they sell this home, the home next door is the same price as they sold it
Hmm.
for. So where you're not ahead at all. And then
Yeah.
you got the property taxes, all these kind of stuff. I would love to invest in a home in the US. It's so much cheaper and so much better in return, and currency is so much stronger.
Yeah. I would have liked to have had some property in Texas before Texas started taking off.
I mean, they still have cheap homes as well. I mean, I'm looking. There's a lot of cheap homes there as well, and I think Texas is landlord friendly. Well, Ontario, Canada is not landlord
Mhm.
friendly. So if they don't want to pay rent, well, okay,
Yeah.
you got to call
Similar
the
problem
board. You
here.
can't
Hmm.
you can't kick them out. You got to get the tenant board to do that, and that takes
Yeah.
months. And the guy's
Hmm.
paying for free. And if you have a mortgage, well,
Yeah.
good luck. So, but in the U.S., it's like, oh, you're not paying. All right, I'm gonna evict your ass. So,
Yeah. That makes sense. So what's the general vibe over there with Tesla? But I've seen
there's
some of
none.
your ex posts like showing you literally see a Tesla and it's like quite a big deal over there.
It is. It is.
Uh-huh.
There's no. Here's the thing in Kuwait. There is no Teslas here. Like you cannot buy them directly, and I probably see one once in a blue moon. I don't
Wow.
see.
So
I mean, when
different.
I do see it, I take a picture. I put it on X. Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
I see the Tesla here. Oh, nice. Um, but there's a reason why there's no Teslas here, and people are not eager to import it yet. First of all, gas is extremely cheap.
Hmm.
Like a full tank, from let's say from empty to full, is only $15, and that is
Wow.
super. And that is super premium. That's not even the one level. That's not regular or
Yeah.
premium, which is like the cheapest one, which is even less than that. Like I think that's like $10, $12.
That's
So
crazy.
So imagine that, and you have no infrastructure for charging.
Yeah.
So most people here live in apartments, and when you don't have superchargers, how are you going to charge this vehicle? I've met some
Hmm.
people who do have EVs, mainly Teslas here in Kuwait, but they have their own house, they have their own place, and they can charge it at home. And Kuwait is not a very big country. You can go throughout the whole country within a charge or charge and a half. The
Okay.
commuting is not a big deal, but it's the fact that okay, I gotta take it somewhere to charge, and it's probably gonna cost the same price as I would use when I use fuel. Yeah, I don't pay for services, but if it gets damaged, I have to ship it back to UAE. Oh my god, that's too
Mm.
much headache. So, and that's
Yeah.
I'm in that camp as well. Like my next car is gonna be a Tesla, but then I'm afraid, and especially for expats, they're not allowed to import vehicles. So it's like, okay,
Right.
what am I
It'd be
supposed to do if
very
it breaks
difficult.
down and there's
Yeah.
no one to take care of it here, right? I have to put the car under someone else's name. I think that's a
Yeah.
bit risky. So that's the vibe with Kuwait with their EVs. They just don't care at the moment.
Hmm.
But Qatar, they just recently, I mean, Tesla just went there in Qatar, and they just made a supercharger network there as well. And if you go to UAE, I mean, 30% of all vehicles are Teslas as well. So
Mm.
what when you go to other countries and you see a Tesla, it's so common. But then when you come here in Kuwait, it's like, oh my god, I just saw a Tesla.
Yeah. It's really, they're really ramping up here in the UK.
Yeah.
Really are.
Well, I
I
mean, yeah, I mean,
I
gas is you guys have very expensive gas.
Yeah, it is expensive. And I think every single time I go out now, I could probably say confidently that I see at least 4, even in a short
Nice,
journey. So,
nice.
yeah.
That's
I
nice.
and I only see that increasing as time goes on. But I don't know what you think about this. For quite a while, having a Tesla was quite unique. It was quite cool. People wanted one because they were like the only people in the area that had one. Now they're becoming more common. I wonder, do you think people will start looking elsewhere to have a different cool car, or do you think they will continue buying Teslas?
Well, it comes back to what you're getting for the value. Of course, there's gonna be those customers that go like, "Oh, everyone has a Tesla. I want
People
something
with
different."
money,
Yeah, they will definitely, look somewhere else. But then I don't think they will get the quality, the compellingness, and the technology, and
the software.
just
Yeah,
how
yeah.
the thing, yeah, like a Tesla. Like for me, the first time I drove a Tesla, it was a Model S Plaid. I was blown away. And I
Hmm.
personally didn't care if my next door had a Model S, whatever. I just liked driving that car. It
Yeah,
was amazing. I'm like, this thing is like every time when I sat in the car, I'm like, this is nice.
yeah. I agree with you.
Knowing that I'm in the safest car, say in the safest car, knowing that I can just put it on self-driving mode or autopilot and just have more time with who I'm spending time with, and knowing that I don't have to take it to services and I can charge at home or charge superchargers or whatever. So really, the whole benefits, and it's reliable. Like that's the key. Like it's flippant reliable. So it's like a Toyota in a way, the reliableness. So
Someone's going to hold that one against you.
I think they will, but they should. If they are, they have not sat or driven a Tesla long enough. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one. I think it comes down to the technology mainly for me and everything else that you've mentioned there. But I kind of view it as like everyone has an iPhone and no one thinks I'm not getting an
Exactly.
iPhone because everyone has
Yeah.
one.
In fact, if you have an iPhone, you're classy.
Yeah,
But
that's
everybody
true.
has an iPhone,
You
so
heard it here first, guys. Get an iPhone, makes you classy. Cool. Right.
yeah.
On that note, I realize we've hit the hour limit. So, is there,
Yeesh.
I'll ask you one quick final question and then we'll wrap it up. So, my last question is if you can if you can tell someone that is interested in perhaps learning more about Tesla, but hasn't yet taken the journey to actually dig in deeper, where would you start? Like, what do you think people should look at first? I'm thinking complete beginner, doesn't know much about Tesla other
Mm.
than they've seen a few cars on the road. How do they start learning more about this company?
Well, do they want are they planning to become an investor? Is
Hmm.
that okay? So if they're gonna be, well, I mean, have they ever seen a balance sheet or income statement in their life?
Let's say that they have a little bit of knowledge, but not in
Little bit
depth.
of knowledge, so they won't be interested in looking at that either. So what I would say is to follow Haley. and follow
Correct.
me.
Well
And
done. Good answer.
but no, I would what I would do is well, the problem with Tesla is that there's a lot of FUD out there, so they'll get to the
Yeah.
FUD first before they get to
Hmm.
the actual thing. So the best thing they can do is, and then if they don't want to look at the fundamentals of the company, follow some of these YouTube channels that do go over what Tesla does.
Hmm.
Um, I think
Build
that's
the
the
interest.
yeah, build the interest and look at the actual fundamentals of the company. Don't
Yeah.
look at, oh, because Reuters or rumors said because they're doing this and now they're doing that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of
There's a lot
controversy
of
around the
noise.
stock, and you should know, you must know that if you're a beginning investor into Tesla stock, you must know that there's a lot of FUD.
Yeah, that's
More
important.
FUD. It's I think that's probably the number one thing you should be aware of when it
Yeah.
comes to Tesla. There's no other company that does this, that
Hmm.
has this amount of FUD. Whether because Elon is the CEO, or maybe because it's just the oil giants want to take down the EVs, whatever the reason is, you have to know that the FUD
Yeah.
is huge with Tesla. And if you want to be a Tesla investor, you have to invest for the long term. And if you want to understand the company, I would advise you to look at the income statement. But if you don't want to do that, I mean, I search on YouTube, looking at other people thinking of what the company is, learning the fundamentals of it, not because of what this report article said. Because
Yeah.
right now, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt is on Elon's thing, vote.
Yeah.
But if you just put that on the side and look what Tesla is doing, it's
Hmm.
crazy. You know,
Yeah.
the FSD rollout just today, 12.4. You got the Megapack factories coming forward. You got, it's just the Model 3 refresh. It's just so Cybertruck hitting 200 production daily now. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God. So when you look at this stuff, it's completely different than getting the fun in your face. So
Yeah,
that's what I
that's
would
good
do.
advice actually. That's important, I
I hope
think.
I hope it is. I know it's not a
Hmm.
traditional advice where they would say that, yeah, just read the articles, and because they say a lot of good things about Apple sometimes, and a lot of
Yeah.
good things about Amazon, but never good things about Tesla.
Yeah.
You can't route them to that route. You just can't, because they're gonna be misleaded, and they're gonna most likely, not most likely, probably miss one of the greatest generation wealths in
Well said.
history. So
Well
that's
said.
what I would say. It's a tricky answer, but I think it's the right answer.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Right. On that note, I really appreciate you being my first guest. I hope we've done a good job. I feel like we have. It's been
You
an
did good.
interesting
You did
conversation.
good. And I do
Thank
want
you.
to bring you on my channel as well. So
Yes, we'll
y'all
absolutely
will
do
stay
that.
tuned for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And everyone watching, if you haven't already, I'm sure you have, make sure you go and follow Pejjy over on X and YouTube. They're your two main platforms, right?
Yeah.
X and
These
YouTube.
two main platforms. Yeah.
Hmm. So make sure you go and follow him over on there. And if you've got any questions, drop them below and maybe we can do a part two. We can answer some questions together next time. That could be interesting.
This was
Sounds
fun as
good.
hell. Thanks a
Cool.
lot, Haley. And
On that
everyone,
note,
smash
thank
that
you.
like button, hit subscribe.
Well said. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.